See, I have seen nowadays villas are also being put in a wide variety of sizes. Earlier,
Mm.
in our imagination, the villa would be at least 2000 square feet, and you will have G plus one or G plus ground plus one maximum and all that. Nowadays, the villa, there is a small villa market, mirroring affordability, the consideration of affordability versus, price profit for the developer. So there are smaller villas, this thing. And there, other end of the spectrum, there are extremely lavish villas with gardens, outhouses, party zone, bar, and all that. So
Yeah.
especially those who have stayed in the US or something, made money and come back, want to have things which are, really they have a car collection they want to put there and all.
Sir, hi, welcome everyone. Welcome, Sanjiv, sir. So you've been in real estate for um, decades, many decades, I'd say, and you've seen the real estate from almost every angle. You've been a part of the builder, you were part of Shobha, and then you done your own consulting business, and now you're part of the Fire Luxor group, which is building in the Empyrean. I have very pointed questions and some things I think will benefit our home buyers. So I'm
Yeah,
going to ask you some questions and we request some honest answers from you
absolutely.
today. Is that okay?
Right. Absolutely. I'll try
Uh,
my best. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. All right. Today, I mean, you've been seeing home buyers for some time now, many years and into decades. What is still confusing to the home buyers? What do they misunderstand the most in real estate?
See, real estate is, first of all, thank you, Niranjan. Niranjan, I know for quite a number of years, and we have always kept in touch through the highs and lows of the market. So it's a privilege to be invited by Niranjan to chat
Thank
with
you, sir.
him, and thank you for that. My experience spans, construction, real estate, villas, apartments, and all that. And the more you realize, the more you understand that it is very difficult to generalize because the products come in such a wide profusion of sizes, shapes, and customers come in all types of expectations. So it is
Mhm.
very difficult or presumptuous of anyone to say that you understand the entire customer psychology or this thing. So rather than thinking about what they miss, it is best to say, okay, what are the things they should look out for? And I know perhaps we will come to it as a later question. But what I've seen when people get into say the choice of this thing, one of the first things which I would recommend everyone to do is to look at the RERA filings which are given by the developers. So it is compulsory for most projects. If you look at them above 8 units or above 500 square meters to go into RERA. So you understand first of all from RERA because it is a self-declaration by the developer about what they intend to do, what is this thing. And I have found that people do not pay adequate attention to that, or there are many who do follow, but there are equally many who would not do this thing. And RERA has been introduced for benefiting customers. So if the customers are not availing of that opportunity to know better for that project for themselves, despite the legal due diligence, despite whatever is said, you see the papers and the declarations which have been put out. I would say that is a very good starting point. Once you have narrowed to your this thing, to the product and process that you want to have. Second is that when you actually come to understand the life cycle cost of anything which is there. First, I would say before that also may come, you understand why you are investing. Is it for own use? Is it for investment? Or is it for this thing? In own use, the rationale, you have to be very, very clear about when you are going to get the house, or the plot or this thing, whatever it is that you are investing in. What is the delivery date? What are the chances that it may slip? If that slips also, how do you manage your, cash flow or your fund flow during that time? Or, how do you manage your transition from a rented home or a old home to this new home? And how do you take advantage of your sales and all to benefit in that particular thing? So that is the second one. Third one would be understand the life cycle cost structure of maintenance, of looking after it is likely to be dramatically different. The building gets painted for everyone in the apartment, but a villa, it is your own individual choice when you want to paint it and what you want to do. And the costs for that are likely to be significantly higher because, a villa is a self-contained unit, a villa or a twin unit or something. And an apartment, you are part of a larger society. So the costs are defrayed by that. So it sounds simple, but it is something which people do not anticipate on this thing, and then they're stuck with very high maintenance bills, going forward. So those are the three top things I would say people should be more discerning, more particular about when they go into the market to buy something.
Okay,
Is
great.
that okay?
That's
Does that
also,
answer your question? Yeah.
yes, it does. And also, it's a nice segue into my next question, saying, how do buyers choose between apartments and villas, right? So, because one is the price, of course, and you touched upon the price,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
what other aspects, differentiate a villa buyer or a person who is open to look at a villa versus an apartment?
See, when I came to Bangalore, if I rewind to my initial days in real estate, I came to Bangalore from Mumbai, and Mumbai was absolutely a apartment market.
Apartment
There's
city,
no
yes.
question
Yeah.
of, you cannot afford an apartment there itself. So what about a villa? The villa is for the extremely privileged
True.
few, and it's almost, you can say you can count on the fingers of the hand of people who I know who own a villa in mainland Mumbai. Because I know a few, but they are very strictly, very limited number. Most of Mumbai stays in apartments, and it is structured around the apartment. In Bangalore, when I came, there was a distinct preference for the plots. Everybody would say site, meaning a 30, 40, this thing. And the BDA allotment was like the holy grail. If you got it, you got a
Yes.
matka, means you struck
Yes.
lottery kind of thing. And people would want their own independence. So I asked some of my Kannadiga friends, in just, what is it that you love so much about plots here? We prefer apartments. So he said, no, main thing, we have control. We have control over our this thing. For me, in my whatever, even if it is one side, I am the absolute master. That we Kannadigas pride with a lot of pride. I don't know whether he was representing on behalf of all Kannadigas or really everyone thinks like that. But yes, the fact was that there was a distinct preference among Bangaloreans and other
Yes. Yes.
this
That is
thing.
there.
So Mumbai, the land is very scarce. Thereby, Mumbai always went vertical. Buildings in Mumbai were vertical from the time I was there, and it has become more and more extreme, as we go. Whereas when I came to Bangalore, one of the things that struck me was that you could go in an entire circle around Bangalore, the ring roads one by one, the intermediate ring road, the peripheral ring road, the outer ring road, and all were coming into existence when I came here. And all
Yep.
of them, one after the other, there was no shortage, there is no limit on the land which is available. And to me, it was an eye opener because why people could afford or even private layouts or BDA sites was because of there was no paucity of land, there was no shortage of land, land was plentifully available. And in a growing city, and as Bangalore was then, which started like a 35, 40 lakh population when I came to whatever 1.4 crores or whatever it is today. So there has been a 3 to 4 fold increase in population. So uh, these are the things which actually make, so apart from price, one of the things is that people want to have their own control over their own, bit of land and on earth. So it is one of the biggest driving factors I have seen. Most of the people who come and stay here in Empyrean, which is about 15 kilometers from Whitefield and 15 kilometers from Sarjapur, are people who have lived in villas in other parts of the country and who want to transfer that villa experience here to Empyrean. So those are the people whom we look at as potential customers, and those are the people who we have found finally convert. So strategically, what it meant for us was that we have always tried to keep the pricing of the villa as comparable to a apartment which is about 15 kilometers out. So that is something which I have found has been a good selling tag, for especially our product, speaking for our product itself. Means, would you want me to elaborate on that, or what is it? Means
Yeah,
how
so
our
I just want to have a added on question.
Mhm.
So because so villas typically are away from town, right, compared to apartments, because apartments are more in town and closer
Yes.
to the things that people need, right? So what should people have in mind when saying, villas are a few kilometers away, and then we expect the CDP to come into action and more roads to come up, more government funded infrastructure to come up, etc. So, how much of it should a buyer keep in mind? How much of it will transform versus a future promise, etc. So, what should a buyer keep in mind?
Yeah, it is actually a very good question because it goes to the essence of that house purchase decision. Means if you how do you assess whether an area is up and coming or whether it will languish like this in the next few years? And
Very
honestly
important.
speaking, that is an answer. That is a question to which every developer, every builder, other than the people who can actually influence that policy or lobby with the government or have a insight into where the area is going by their sheer experience, they will have an answer to that in the sense that they will know where the cities are growing, which way the growth corridors are shaping up, where actual money will be deployed by the government. And that is sometimes, everybody gets it right. Sometimes that there is no 100% foolproof way I have found of that. So my take would be that if you are banking completely on that decision to justify your house purchase decision, then it is better to wait it out or be closer to the city rather than in a remote area. Because remote area, the challenges of staying there are not for everyone. Medical facilities are often poor. If you have got senior citizens or very young adults in the family, very babies or children, and you anticipate some emergency, sometimes it becomes tough. Sometimes security poses a challenge outside of town because the lights are, their power is not there. So the more you go outside, it is better to stick to gated communities where there is security, where there is backup power and all that, even in a villa purchase decision. Because the more or you move closer, and I understand that closer to the town, obviously it will be costlier. So the budget will come down or you will have to squeeze on the area. But so that is the balance that you have to seek because RERA will tell you only about the project. RERA will not
Hmm.
tell you about the external environment of the project.
Yeah,
But
the
understanding that
livability. Hmm.
so if you at least see that the road is motorable for the most part, it does not have any obstacle which they say 2 महीने में clear हो जाएगा 3 महीने में. If that is there, it is better to avoid. Because that would be my take on it. It is best to go with somewhere visible, where it is visible development, or at least you are say kind of seeing 70 to 80% work. If work is going on, if the road is being laid, then don't wait for the road to be completed and traffic to start flowing because you will lose the essence of it. But if you are just speculating currently what is a 20 feet road, somebody is selling you a dream that it is going to be a 100 feet road, it may not be work out that way, this thing, or the highway is going to pass from here and all that. Those are all grand promises which are sometimes made by enthusiastic sales people. But you do your own due diligence homework to the extent you can ask around, meet people who have already bought, ask the salespeople from 2, 3 directions, you ask them to confirm this thing just to make sure that you don't land up with something which is then becomes a kind of white elephant fee. That's
Yeah, very true. And then that is one important thing for home buyers to avoid that regret also of buying somewhere and then
exactly,
looking back. Yeah.
exactly. Hmm.
So, I'd like to now focus a little bit on the pricing aspects of a villa project, right? So,
Hmm.
we've had in the last few years help customers understand how to decipher these villas in general, because some villas have sell land separately, and then there is a construction cost, a construction agreement with the builder. Some are directly villas, some are row houses, and some have just a plotted permission and then they go on for villa construction. So between all of this, the pricing seems a little of a calamity for home buyers, right? So can you please throw some light on how to deduce the pricing that the villa project typically tells home buyers?
Yeah. See, for a villa, there are 2 or 3 essential components which will go into it. One is, of course, the plot. And first, let me talk about the scenario where the developer takes a layout sanction plan, the sanction of the layout, and then the plots are registered in the name of the buyer, and villa construction takes place parallel or subsequent, or any kind of game in between. And as you said, it gets neatly bifurcated into a land agreement and a construction agreement, so that for you also there is a kind of bifurcation you can also think about, which is how much are they pricing the land? Is it fair with respect to the land which is around this thing, and the construction cost? So construction cost is a number that will float around, this thing nowadays. You can ask ChatGPT also for that. But I would say around 3,000 to 4,000 would be the range, which is for a villa project construction cost. So if you take that out, if you have this kind of dual structure, it becomes very easy, because you know that the land is being priced at 5,500 or 6,000 rupees by the builder. So whether it is justified or not, you do your research by looking on the portals or walking around and seeing other projects in the vicinity, try to get a sense of what is the land price there. So you will understand very clearly whether the land itself is worth what the developer is saying. Second is, what is the construction cost? And construction cost, generally people would not like to bump it up too much, because they will lose. If that option is given to you, you may go with another business. The builder may lose out on that business. So they will not, they may have a 10-15% premium by virtue of being there and guaranteeing what is the outcome, and any cash flow issues also the developer will take care. So the developer being in that position will want to, will give you a fairly reasonable idea. When it is a composite price, also you have to see what is the breakup, what is your this thing, and bear in mind that it is a composite of the plot area, which is like let's say taking a 30-50 site, 1,500 square feet is the plot area, and on that you can build, let's say 1.5 times, so you can build 2,050. So multiplied by, say, for ease of calculation, if we take 4,000 as a construction cost, 90 lakhs will be the cost of the construction, and 1,500 square feet by 5,000 if you take 75 lakhs. So 1.65 crores is a cost, which is fair enough.
That's the cost.
Yeah. That is how you judge. And then what are the amenities they are promising? The clubhouse, swimming pool, etc. That would be, maybe at the development cost of the infrastructure. So sometimes it is priced separately, the development cost, which is there around 250 rupees per square feet. And there might be some charge for the clubhouse membership or something, which is about, typically anywhere between 3 to 5 lakh rupees kind of thing. So what is it that you are getting as a package vis-a-vis all of this? And the registration and stamp duty is always on the buyer side. So that has been also increased now to 7.5, 7.7%. So you have to add all of these to reach what is your final landed cost going to be for the villa or for this thing. That is the way that it works.
Perfect. Let's now spend a couple of minutes on the legal aspects. So what do you think are checks that they should not miss out when looking at legal clarity in a project, a villa or apartment per se?
Yeah. See, obviously means repeating the obvious. Title documents are extremely important where you have this thing. Then second is the planning zone and the jurisdiction of which planning authority it comes under is extremely important. I cannot overemphasize the first part, which is your title, the title flow over the years, the conversion of the land, and the area statement. What is it, the area given in the Naksha versus what is the area which is being quoted to you, and how the plan has been, how 3 or 4 survey numbers are amalgamated to form the project or layout this thing, and what is the layout sanction plan. And also starting first, I would say, if you don't have clarity, and for the land, it is always better to go to an unbiased lawyer. Don't trust, even I would say, don't trust in the sense, do not go to the bank, a bank's lawyer. Just go to an independent person who you trust. That would be much, much better. And take the papers of the land from the developer, get them vetted, and make sure that you are, because that is one single factor that can completely upset your entire calculation, entire purchase decision. Following from that, you see what is the plan sanction, what is the jurisdiction in which it falls, Have they taken all the right permissions? Are the permissions valid? What are the conditions that the developer has agreed to with respect to parks, open spaces, with respect to greening, with respect to rainwater harvesting? Are they implementing them or not? So that right from the beginning, you see that the intent of the developer is good and they are doing the right things. You have that much of confidence in your decision from the beginning. If they keep on saying for everything, ho jayega, next it will follow. Don't worry, sir, we are there and all that. It's not that yeah. So you have every right to ask for those things and get a schedule from them. Yes, I work for developers a lot. I don't think everybody is but this is by way of the buyer to be careful about what they're developing here, because you don't want anyone to land into trouble with their life's earnings, which people usually come into real estate is their most their biggest investment decision of their life. So they would want to be sure what they are buying. Take it, do the hard work for yourself, walk around the site, feel comfortable with your decision. Of course, some decisions can and will go wrong. There is you know, no way of avoiding that. But you do all your due diligence, all the hard work to see that it is done. Then you will, at least, you can say, oh, that was kind of fate. So don't do your homework and attribute it to fate. I don't think, that is not a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the opacity we are trying to kind of address both with the podcast and with Proppy, what we do online, etc. Sir. So coming back to the villa buyer, right? So what's in mind for the villa buyer? Typically, somebody who wants to have ownership of a piece of land and say, this is how I've grown up and I want to live even now like this. I want to hand this over as an asset to my next generation. I want to grow my own veggies. I want to live in a peaceful surrounding. Is this the psyche of a villa buyer typically compared to an apartment? Are they a clear category, or they are like it's just a matter of figuring out what works for them between apartment and a villa?
See, I have seen nowadays villas are also being put in a wide variety of sizes. Earlier, in our imagination, the villa would be at least 2,000 square feet, and you will have G plus one or G plus ground plus one maximum and all that. Nowadays, the villa, there is a small villa market, mirroring affordability, the consideration of affordability versus price profit for the developer. So there are smaller villas, this thing, and there other end of the spectrum, there are extremely lavish villas with gardens, outhouses, party zone, bar, and all that. So especially those who have stayed in the US or something, made money and come back, want to have things which are really they have a car collection they want to put there and all.
Yeah.
So in a way, villa developers, yeah, comes in a lot of sizes. A lot of the villa, what you can say, preferences come in a lot of different ways. It's very difficult to pinpoint what exactly would be a singular this thing. It varies from buyer to buyer, but in general, in a villa development, mostly they do not have wide variation within that. So once you choose a particular villa development, in fact, one of the things which we did differently with Empyrean, if you allow me to plug our own, development,
Sure.
we have an extremely wide variety, starting from 1,200 square feet row houses, going on to 6,000 square feet villas in our first phase. Second phase, we kind of made it closer to the average. We bumped up the minimum size. We did not have the smaller ones there. And we have, from the largest size also, we have come down, one or two runs, to about 4,000 square feet and all. But the point is that with this, this kind of variety is rare. Most villa developments will have standard 30, 50 plots. Those who have big villas will usually have merged two plots next to each other and built a bigger villa, that kind of thing. And within that, yes, the desire to have control over their own this thing and to have a space which is not so boxed in as an apartment is what is one of the main drivers. I would say, if I were to if you ask me to give one distinguishing feature, it would be that. Of course, villas are in general costlier than apartments for the same square feet or this thing. So that is definitely a consideration. Other things being equal, the desire to have more control on your life, not be dependent on other people, not to share common walls, is something which is very, very inherent in people. So that is what
Okay.
determines the decision, so to speak.
And can we broadly say, I mean, not everybody can, but can we broadly say villas are for end users primarily, with only few investors dabbling with villas?
See, roughly there are, I would not, I would be hard pressed to put a general figure on it because, see, the thing is that a lot of expats, when they start coming in, also prefer villa development. So there is a good lucrative real estate rental market for villas. So where I stay now, in Whitefield, there are 64 villas, out of which about 30-35 are rented out, means this thing. So people came in, maybe they wanted to buy them, and then they have thought it is better to rent it out, or while they are having their work and all in the city, they intend to retire here, so they rent it out in the middle. So that category is quite a bit. I would say about 50-50 is the my experience. A lot of people plan to stay, but whether they eventually will stay or whether they will say it's too far, nahi yaar, wahan se will come to the city every day, leave it. I will rent it out in future when I retire. I'll come, and that day, whether it comes or not, we can't say.
Right. No, so I mean, for blockbuster projects, we know the Palm Meadows or things like that. That's a different case. But by and large, villa rentals have not been as good as an apartment rental, owing to a lot of factors, right? Because
Definitely,
apartments are
yeah.
closer to the city, and all of that, right? So livability is a lot more. So that was my
Okay.
where I was
That is
coming
your
from, the point.
experience.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Good to know that.
Okay, brilliant. So I mean, lastly, is there a kind of a builder, sorry, home buyer who would bought a villa thinking of certain things and then regrets that decision? Is there, because then we can make that as a red flag for a home buyer saying, hey, if these are the reasons you want to buy a villa, perhaps villa is not for you. Likewise
Yeah.
for apartments, but now that the focus speaking with you is on villas today, I'd like to cross out that point for home buyers who are listening in.
Yeah. See, I would say the expectation of return has to be tempered in villas vis-a-vis apartment. That I would agree with you. Okay, that I have seen. The pace at which apartment prices, especially now, and especially in the corridors where there are significant employment potential, is much higher in apartments, even for rental or perhaps for resale also, especially in the initial years. Because villas are development on land, land appreciates separately, the building depreciates, but land has its own pace. You can't say when that land will appreciate. Whereas a villa is about, so a villa in a sense is about a bit of lifestyle and what you want to do with it, and enjoy yourself, sprawling backyard, trees being planted, and all that romantic thing is there with villas. In
Yeah, yeah,
apartments, I don't think anybody romanticizes apartments. It's a very
yeah.
functional use, but its very functionality makes sure that there is always a class of people and buyers, or yeah, who are looking at it. Villa may take a bit of time, but over a longer run, villas, especially if you choose it in the correct areas, after doing all the due diligence and decide key, look at the developments and all that, and you happen to do that, you can do this. But in general, always for people in real estate, see, I always tell people, remember that uh, somebody saying, my uncle bought it for, my friend bought it for 10 lakhs an acre, now it is 1 crore per acre. That kind of, very dramatic, sharp
Unrealistic expectation, huh?
expectations are always, they happen to somebody else, not to you. Yours is, like telling about a lottery or saying he did not go to school, yet he is today, he has become a crorepati. There are only a few people who don't go to school and still become crorepatis. It's not the other way around. Every crorepati is not, a school dropout. So you should not confuse, you should not mistake the direction of the causality. So the uh, you temper your expectations, be comfortable with lower estimates, lower end estimates. If there is an upside, you are even better than where you thought you will be. But don't plan on something going dramatically up and this thing. It doesn't happen. Mostly in real life, it doesn't happen. And of course, when it happens, as satellite town ring road or a metro station coming near your place and changing the entire dynamics is something which we really do not have control. Now, the yellow line has been in the works for such a long time. Slowly, slowly, it's coming. But yes, in the farther reaches of the city, if you have got a villa development which is close to a metro station, 100% there will be. Now, suddenly, there might be a spot last 2 years. Whereas you hold that land for 20 years, 18 years, it has not done anything. It just spiked in the last 2, 3 years and it has covered up the lost ground. Earlier, it was 2, 3, 4%. Now, suddenly, it is 15, 20% annually over the last 2, 3 years. So you are in a good place now, is what you invested for. But if you just happen to sell it in 2023, then you will say, Arey,
You would have missed the spike. Yeah.
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 So it is good always to keep that sense about you and not to put one also. Last thing would be that do not put all your eggs in one basket. It's always, or if you do, then you look after that basket very well, either
Yeah.
way. So don't be very ambitious with respect to expectations. Be ambitious with whatever else you want to do in life and then park your savings here. Then that will be a better approach in my, just to relate it to
Okay.
life in general. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's very fairly put because as long as the expectations are realistic, it gives you a signature lifestyle. You have a space for your kids and your pets and your guests, and you're in a peaceful environment. And there's certain upsides, definitely. For the person who understands what he is getting into, villa is a great option. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Thanks for clearing out the mystery around home buying, especially villas today, Sanjeev sir. Thanks for your time and good day.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity and look forward to meeting you soon.
Yeah, bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks.